Hello there, guys. My name is Chris. Welcome into my alone zone. A rare for me these days. 2 videos, 2 days in a row. Coming at you again from hot and muggy Pensacola, Florida. Oh, I hate this time of year. If I would just sit in my house this time of year all the time. I wouldn't even go out except to go get my medication in the morning and to my therapy appointments. But, what's that going to do? I have to at least get out a little bit, get some fresh air. So this time of year it's really, really difficult for me. I don't do well in this climate. And if I had the money, I sure wouldn't live here. I'd be in Colorado right now. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to go. In Colorado, human beings are free. They have more rights, more privileges, and the weather is nice. It was snowing there a couple days ago. It might even still be, not snowing, but it's nice and cool there. So if I ever get the money, I'm moving to Colorado. And to anyone that watches, if you're from Colorado, you're lucky. You live in one of the most beautiful places in the country because of the mountain terrain and the prairies and all that stuff. But because of the fact that human beings in Colorado are more free, they have more privileges, can do more things, and have more rights. I'm not going to get into why. Anybody who knows anything about anything knows why I'm talking about Colorado. And big props to Washington State too, but I wouldn't want to go that far, north. If I ever get the opportunity, Colorado is someplace that I really, really would love to go. All right, so for this video here, what topic? What do I want to talk about? I'm really not sure. Trying to bounce some things around in my head, but I wanted to get another video out. Maybe I'll just talk about, just generalizations in life. Why is someone who, why are people who don't fit the norm so out-labeled as outcasts? So why are we outcasts so much? You know what I mean? It's just like you get this norm all these years. People lived a certain way, did a certain thing, and that evolved as technology and times changed. But it just seems like a code has to be followed, and if you stray away from that, you get ridiculed, you get, bashed, you get bullied, you get, just everything, and it's ridiculous. It's so boring to live a certain way and to follow a certain code and certain rules. We as human beings, we're all different, and we all, should be able to live how we want to live without fear of persecution. And a lot of the mental problems come from being persecuted because of the way I lived. Because I wasn't, always outgoing, or because I wasn't loud, and because, at the age of 14 I had a big beard because I like facial hair. I always have, I always will. Nothing against anyone out there, but to me, in my personal belief, and there's a stupid bug flying around here, men are supposed to have hair, and that's just me. So I like having a beard and a mustache. I will always have a beard and a mustache. Rarely will I shave it off all the way. I'll keep it nice and neat and trimmed. But man, these bugs are bad. But that's just my perception. So I was ridiculed for having a beard. And if you don't like facial hair, hey, I don't ridicule people who don't like that. That's your choice. We as human beings, we have a right to that. So we should be able to not have to live in fear. And it bothers me so much that the youth of this nation, the stories I hear every day about bullying, about teens, committing suicide or attempting suicide. And even though I don't value my life, it's a little different. I'm old, so if I die, I don't have any real life friends. No one's gonna miss me. And the only person I've got, which is my grandmother, she even knows it would be best for me because she knows how hurt I am. And when she tells me she would understand if that day were to pass, which I've already, in my mind, I don't want to feel physical pain. I'm not going to do it. If it happens, it's going to happen from somewhere else. It's not going to happen at my hands. Just because I want to, don't care if I live and I'd rather be dead does not mean I'm going to commit suicide. Anyways, back to what I was saying. The youth of America is just, and this stuff, as I look back in the history, and if any older people out there watch this, tell me, back in the 50s and 60s, did you get made fun of you know, because of being overweight or how you dressed and how you looked, you know, because what I get a sense of is back then people were more cool, more accepting, you know, people didn't focus on looks and didn't focus on someone's wealth and monetary status, because back then it wasn't about money. You didn't have all this technology, you didn't have all this wealth, these glamorous things that are, you know, put in our faces every day. Back then people had more simpler lifestyles, and well, neighborhoods, you knew all your neighbors and you hung out with your neighbors and you had barbecues in the summertime, and you know, if your neighbor needed some sugar, you gave him some sugar, and you know, just people just got along better, you know. Now, I'm not saying everyone, because trust me, I'm well aware there was racism in this country and it's still prevalent. So a lot of people, you know, didn't have it like that. But the, you know, generalization is, it just seemed like a more simpler time. Other than that, it just seems like in, you know, starting in like maybe the 80s, somewhere in there, the 90s, but definitely the 80s is when image was, you know, media and everything was really like, TV was changing, magazines were changing, things were changing. So, you know, people saw something, they see a guy with six-pack abs and huge muscles, and they see a woman that's paper thin, you know, which is unrealistic, and people think that's how you're supposed to be, and if you don't fit that mold, and you know, if you're not what people see, and it's because our brains get brainwashed. Some people don't live like me, I'm not brainwashed, but a lot of people, they absorb it, and they assume, hey, that's how you're supposed to be, and if you're any different, you get persecuted for it, and it's ridiculous. So it just seems like it's just escalating. You know, this generation, I feel in my heart so bad for, because I know how they feel. It's just taken to the next level. When you have kids who want to have these, you know, massacres were happening. Now, school massacres really didn't really start until the late 90s, which is part of my generation. And, you know, you got kids going to school with guns or weapons and just having at it, killing innocent people. You know, instead of, you know, and I'm not advocating anything, trust me, but these kids don't take it out on the bullies. They take it out on the innocent teachers, innocent students. And they end up killing themselves in most cases. And it should never come to that. You know, education was supposed to be important. And, if, like with me, I dropped out of school because I couldn't go to school. You know, I couldn't handle it. My mind just was not able to put it away. And, you know, I valued education when I was younger, but as I got older and kids changed and the times were changing, I wasn't able to achieve the education that I desired because I hated being there. Why do I want to get up out of my bed to go to a place where I'm going to be, you know, hurt and I'm going to come home crying 9 out of 10 days? And, you know, because of truancy laws and stuff, my poor grandmother, she had to fight and fuss with me to get me to go to school, but because they were going to put her in jail. And I don't know how the truancy laws work these days, but it's absolutely ludicrous that a kid that is just getting painfully mentally abused and even physically abused is forced to go to school, and their parents will go to jail. I don't know if that still goes on, but it's possible, for, you know, not, you know, putting their kids in school, and then when their kids come home and they cry to them and they're in pain, what is a parent supposed to do? And unfortunately, you know, unless you go to private school, you're forced to go to a school that's in your district. And I don't know if that's how it works in every, you know, state. Here in Florida, we have districts. We have sections and zones, and if you live in a certain area, that's the school you go to unless you go to private school. And private school is expensive. I firmly believe that every city and every town should have one school designed for students who are non-troublemakers, for students who have a history of getting decent grades, and who, you know, don't cause trouble, don't get suspended or any of that. And they should be able to go to that school. And, you know, let all the bullies, you know, and let all the idiots and the morons who have nothing better to do with their life than to hurt somebody else, let them stay together. And then let them start bullying each other, and they will see how it feels. You know, something just has to be done. It just pains me, and every day I hear about it and I hear stories. And what I can say is to the youth of America, you do not deserve it, just as I didn't deserve it, just as other people didn't deserve it. You know, we're young, we're trying to enjoy our youth and childhood, and it gets stripped from us. You see, I'm 30, about to be 32 years old next month. But inside I'm still a child because I didn't have a childhood. I never got to grow up, and I yearn at this age for a childhood. And you know, that sounds stupid. I don't care what anybody thinks. You can ridicule me, you can laugh at me, you can say, think I'm funny. Again, because I'm 32, I'm supposed to act a certain way and be a certain way. Just because I'm 32 and I like watching cartoons and playing video games and, just things along that line. I like doing youthful type things, even though I'm always doing it by myself. Doesn't matter, because I didn't have a childhood, and I'm so seeking that childhood, and I can't get it back because I get older and older and older. So while my mind has all these problems and mentally I'm still young, you know what I mean? My body keeps aging while the hairs turn gray, while I get all these aches and pains, while, I gain weight or, stretch marks, whatever, come and go. As my body changes mentally, I'm still that teenager yearning for fun, yearning for a life, yearning to hang out and have fun. And it sounds stupid to some, but it's not stupid to me. And that's what ends up happening to these kids. They get robbed of their childhood, and then when they're adults, they can't function in society because they're so screwed up mentally because of what happened to them, because nobody did nothing to it. I even had teachers, and I've said this in some other stories, that partook in calling me by my nickname. That was ridiculous. And when you go to the principal or you go to a higher up and you tell them, they don't do anything about it. If there's anything I can ever do, and I need to start doing something. I just wish I had the willpower, and I wish I had it in me, because the one thing I'm passionate about is I want to take part in something to stop the bullying. You've got to teach these kids a lesson that are doing this to the other kids. You're never going to understand. You probably will never be able to get rid of it 100%. But you can limit it. Putting these kids in juvenile hall, having them bullied. And I know it's probably a double negative to take a bully and bully them, but something's got to be done. And like I said earlier, take these good students and give them the option, not a private school where their parents have to pay, but to go to a school that's full of nothing but good students. Students that want to learn, want education, want to have a good, fun and make friends and have bonds and build on that for the future. And get all the bad kids and let them stay where they are. And then maybe they'll see how it's like, because like I said, when you take all the good kids out, then the bullies are only going to be able to bully themselves, and then they'll see how it feels. But really, it's just, it's wrong, and it hurts my heart, and I'm one person, and there's not a lot I can do by myself. I would love to join in on a mass, like, they had the Martin Luther King, damn these bugs, excuse me, I gotta fix my hat, damn bugs, it's that time of year though. But anyways, you had the March on Washington with Martin Luther King, and that did help, but there's still racism issues in this country, sadly, but a lot of things did change for the good. And then it's time for a march on Washington. And in this march, it will be full of children who are going through the struggle right now. It'll be full of adults who went through it as youths and who are messed up in the head. And it'll be full of advocates, the parents, the people who, feel so bad in their heart that may have not went through it, but hurt for these children. And hurt for even the adults that are screwed up because of it. Go to Washington and have change. To be honest with you, I'm nobody. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not famous. But I would love to do something like that and actually speak. As much anxiety as I have, to march on Washington with that big of a group, it would be, trust me, it would be panicking, all that stuff. But deep down inside, I know I'm going to be surrounded by people like me. People, even though I'm not young, I'm not a kid, I would be surrounded by those who were me, what I was, who were, at the beginning of it and are tired of it and want something to be done. And I'll be surrounded by people who care. And so that'll make me feel more comfortable, and I would love to just get up and speak, share my story, share what I went through, and share what my life is like now, and just say, hell, government, You got to do something about this. This has got to stop. How many more kids have to die? How many more adults have to go through life hating life, not wanting to live? You know, when is this going to stop? So, my throat's getting kind of sore here from talking. It's the heat. Like I already said, this time of year I don't really care for. But, you know what? I started out not really sure what I wanted to talk about, and I got into a little good conversation here. So, and yes, I'm still drinking these Kickstarts. They're awesome, especially this time of year when it's hot. Alright, so anyways, so this conversation here is basically about the youth of America bullying, and we just got to stop it. Something's got to be done. You know, it's just time for a change. Change has to be done. If the country, the nation does not unite, this is just going to keep going on and on. So that's it. That's all. Thank you for entering my alone zone. It is now time for us to part. Until next time, this has been Chris, and I'm out. Peace.